Hello, scumbags. Welcome to High Ground. It's me, Andrew, your old pal, your old buddy, your old scoundrel. And I'm here to talk to you today about a new Star Wars book. That's what we're here for. That's what the High Ground's here for, baby. It's about the new Star Wars book. It's this book right here. Thrawn, Treason. Okay? This is the third Thrawn book in this new regime of new canon that we have gotten so far. First and foremost, I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I just had a visit to the dentist, and my mouth is a little bit swollen and not all there. So if I pronounce things weird or I sound like I got marbles in my mouth, it's because of that. But now, how to best talk about Thrawn Treason? All right, I'm just going to put this out there right now. First and foremost, I'm going to lay my cards on the table, and then I'll explain to you why I feel the way I feel. I have come to the conclusion/decision that these Thrawn books are awful. They are absolutely horrendous. And here's why. Look at these three books here. All right, these are three books in new canon. We got Tarkin, we got Thrawn, and we got Thrawn Alliances. I am not a fan of any of these books. If you could only read one of these three books, and you ask me, Andrew, I only have enough time or money to read one, which of these three do I read? My answer to you would be, honestly, it doesn't matter a damn which one you pick, because these three books are exactly the same. They're about an Imperial officer who is really smart, obnoxiously so, chasing around either rebels, pirates, or both, but whoever they're chasing around is totally irrelevant and nobody that you know the name of or care about. They're just chasing enemies of the Empire through space using so much technobabble and military jargon that your earlobes will explode from boredom. And then they catch the person using clues and things that only make sense to the writer. You know, as the reader, we can't follow along and be like, oh, I tracked the clues too. It's like a Sherlock Holmes novel. I figured it out as well. No, it's only going to make sense to the writer of the book and to the character in the book. And all these other Imperial characters are going to be on the sidelines saying, hey, what you're doing is really unorthodox. And either Thrawn or Tarkin is going to say, well, you can think what you want, but I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. And then, surprise, my really unorthodox methods saved the day and helped us catch the pirates that nobody cares about. The end. There, I just saved you the trouble, folks. You have just, from hearing me say that, you have just read not only Tarkin, but all three Thrawn books. That's right, I said all three, because the new one, Thrawn Treason, is exactly that. Why cover new ground? Why advance things when Timothy Zahn can just continue to show us how smart Thrawn is? Because apparently we still don't know that. Apparently we still don't know that Thrawn is, in fact, kind of intelligent sometimes. Just like those other three books, Thrawn Treason is a cold, emotionless story about a cold, emotionless character who, frankly, I'm really starting to dislike now. Even though I used to love Thrawn when he showed up, starting on Rebels Season 3. I was like, damn, this is awesome. Thrawn's a cool guy. I like him as a villain. I can't wait to see where they take him. After reading these three books, I am just like, if it gets to the point where we see where Ezra Bridger went and we catch up to him on that Star Destroyer, Ahsoka and Sabine walk up to him and they're like, Ezra, we found you. Where's Thrawn? And Ezra's just like, oh, he's there. I shot him. And you'll never see Thrawn again. I'm at the point now where if that happens, I'd be like, cool. We don't have to put up with this BS anymore. Thank God we're done with Thrawn. I'll have to watch Rebels again to like him again, because I want to like him again. I want to like that version of him, the version that was written better. I can't put it any other way. That was written better. Thrawn Treason follows the exact same plot as all the other Thrawn books and the Tarkin book, because Thrawn is standing on the bridge of his Star Destroyer and he's been tasked with chasing down enemies of the Empire. Who are they? Who cares? Don't bother asking. They're not important. They are not important. They are just people who are not on the same side as Thrawn. That's all the book wants you to care about. Somebody is not on the same page as Thrawn. They're bad news. We gotta catch them. So Thrawn spends the whole book hunting them down in his perfect, totally infallible way where he never makes a mistake or even shows an emotion because he's Thrawn. And there's other characters around him who question his logic, and they're like, oh, are you sure? Why do you want to dissect this animal we found? What does that have to do with these pirates we're chasing? And Thrawn will just be infallibly polite and be like, it has everything to do with it. I'm just curious. Let me dissect this animal. Oh, I have figured out who the pirates are. And everybody's like, what? Except us, the reader, because you know what? We saw this shit coming a mile away now. We're 3 books in. Do something different. Do something that matters. Do something that matters. And these books do nothing that matters. They're just a never-ending parade of Timothy Zahn saying, look how smart I am. Look at all these smart things I'm making Thrawn do. Isn't he just the most perfect, precious character I've ever created? You will love Thrawn as much as I do. Buy my book. That's all I see. That's all I see when I read the Thrawn books. And I know it sounds harsh. I'm sure Timothy Zahn's a very nice man. I have nothing against him. But you know what? I have now stepped in this turd 3 times, and I am done. I am done with this. Side Akbar, if you're a Sheev Palpatine fan like I am, that cover's a lie. Don't believe it. Palpatine is in this book for about, maybe, I want to say, 8 pages, and all those 8 pages, he is, away from Thrawn. He's in a hologram. He's just talking through a hologram. So it's not like there's this big, deep conversation that happens between Thrawn and Palpatine, as this cover might lead you to believe. Don't buy this if you're just like, I want to see Palpatine have some convos with Thrawn, because that ain't going to happen. If you want to see that, go back and read the beginning of Thrawn 1, because that's the only time you really get that juicy goodness. And that part was good. I will give it that. That part of Thrawn 1 was very interesting. Palpatine getting to know Thrawn and getting to know about the Chiss Ascendancy. Good stuff. Meaningful stuff. Moves canon forward. Adds pieces to the puzzle. That was okay. Earlier in this video, I called both the character and the story cold and emotionless, and I'm sticking by that. I don't care. Come at me if you want. I don't care. There is no emotion anywhere in this book. And characters worrying about whether or not Thrawn is making the right choice is not emotion. It's not emotion because we've danced this dance before, and we don't care at the end of the day that those characters are questioning Thrawn, because we always know Thrawn is right. We're never reading this and thinking, oh man, what if Thrawn's got the wrong idea this time? No, we're not, because he won't. Because Timothy Zahn won't let Thrawn be wrong. I brought up the technobabble and the military jargon. That is just way out of hand for me. It is. And it's been present in all the Thrawn books and the Tarkin book, now that I think about it. But in this one, maybe it's because I was at my breaking point, but in this one it felt like it was the worst. Zahn will never miss an opportunity to tell you what the Imperial military is saying to one another, even if it's completely irrelevant to what's going on. Thrawn will be like, activate forward thrusters. Yes, sir. The Admiral says to activate forward thrusters. Navigation nods. Acknowledged. Activating forward thrusters now. Forward thrusters activated. Admiral, they've activated the forward thrusters. Very good. Proceed as planned. Very good, Admiral. Proceeding as planned. All of that dialogue is in the book. He doesn't leave it out. I think we can grasp the concept that when military people talk to one another, they usually repeat orders so that the specific parts of the ship can hear the orders that are, focused on them. We know. We get that concept, but Zahn just leaves it all there on the table. He doesn't trim any of that fat. He's just like, no, we're going to hear them say everything. Yes, sir. Permission to speak freely, sir? Of course, Lieutenant. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the permission to speak freely. Lieutenant, if I may. Yes, Commander. Yes, Commodore. Commodore, if I may, also. It never stops. It never stops. This isn't even a long book. This book is like 360 pages or something like that. It's relatively thin compared to most of the other Star Wars canon novels. I'm wondering if Del Rey had some kind of minimum requirement, and they're like, Zahn, your book's too short, and he's like, well, I'll just add more military padding, because that's exciting, right? That's why the kids love Star Wars. That's why we love Star Wars, because we love hearing people talk into comms and saying things like, yes, Admiral, or acknowledged, sir. I never have more fun in Star Wars than I do when I hear somebody on a bridge say, acknowledged, Admiral, I'll get on that right away. Admiral, I've done what you just asked. Very good, Commodore. I don't care. I don't care that they are talking to one another. That is not entertaining. That is not building tension. That is just padding your story. And I know that because when I have submitted books to various places, various publishing agencies. When I do get notes back, which isn't very often, but that's a whole other story. When I do get notes back, a lot of the time they say, your book is paced slowly because there's a lot of dialogue that doesn't need to be in it. So that's something publishing agents look out for. And again, I don't want to shit on Timothy Zahn. I'm sure he's a very nice man. But I think the only reason these books are being allowed to be published as they are is because he has a name as a Star Wars guy. And because they don't want to say no to him. I think that's literally the only reason why nobody is flipping through this book as an editor and saying, hey, Tim, why don't you sort this shit out because it is plain boring. And on top of all the military speak, we get highly detailed techno-babble and math. Oh my God, is there ever a lot of math in these books about these rods called triads that the pirate aliens use to set up some kind of perimeter. And it's these 3 rods. God knows I can tell you how they work because the book never lets me forget. It spends paragraph upon paragraph explaining the minutia and the mathematic inner workings of these triad poles. And it's like, oh, here are these poles that these things have set up, and here's how they work in great detail. And first though, Thrawn, before they explain how it works, Thrawn will look at it and be like, fascinating. If I had to guess, I would say it works like this. Why don't you take a look and study it, Lieutenant Vanto? Yes, sir, acknowledge. I'll take a look and study it now. And Lieutenant Vanto spends a few pages studying these rods, and the book tells us all of his findings, and then Lieutenant Vanto reports back to Thrawn and says, Grand Admiral, permission to speak, sir? Yes, carry on, Bridge, while I speak with the Lieutenant. Acknowledge, Grand Admiral. We're carrying on with the Bridge while you speak to the Lieutenant. Thank you, Bridge. Now, Lieutenant, what do you have to tell me about these rods? Thank you, Grand Admiral. I'll now proceed to tell you what I found out about these rods. Using my powers of math, I have taken a look and deduced that these triad poles have to be fitted precisely 6 kilometers apart, compensating for the fact that sometimes the poles may rotate on one another's axes. Fascinating, Lieutenant. Carry on. Also, I found that if the triad poles are moved at a certain position, that I've noticed holes that have been drilled precisely 4.6 feet within one another at regular intervals, and I believe these holes are used to sort of create a circular pattern that the triad poles can then use to close in on a signal and create a cloaking device. Fascinating, but cloaking devices usually require a different mathematical approach. Isn't that right, Commodore? Yes, Admiral. Thank you for inviting me into this conversation. That is correct. Why do you think this is a cloaking device, Lieutenant? Thank you for asking me that, Commodore. I'll explain. And I'm just like, tell a story! Why is that so hard? You're a writer. Right. Don't give me math. Don't give me polls and military jargon. Tell a story, for the love of God. You have been doing this for 3 straight books. That is why I'm done. I'm done with the Thrawn books, guys. And I'm sorry if there are more Thrawn books in the future, which I think there will be, and you want high grounds, I'm not going to do them. I'll you know what? I can give you a high ground without having read one. I can be like, in this book, Thrawn is perfect in every way, even though people question his logic. The end. And also math. Yes, Commodore. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Thankfully, this time, I wasn't stupid. With Thrawn 1 and 2, I bought them. I actually bought the books with money, and I sat down and I read it. With Thrawn Treason, I had a feeling I was in for more crap, so I borrowed it. I borrowed the book. I read it in like a week. Then I gave it back, and I was like, thank God. My shelf space is already, pushing its limit. Thank God I don't have to fill precious centimeters with this piece of garbage. So, thank you. It's out of my hands. I've read it. I can safely talk to you about it and give you my thoughts, and just be confident in the fact that now I know that nothing in this book is worth reading. On High Ground, I do this thing where I tell you if a piece of Star Wars canon is either a crucial piece of the puzzle, meaning it fits into canon in a way where it explains something important. For example, Thrawn 1, the first book, as much as I didn't like it, I would call it a crucial puzzle piece of canon because it introduces Thrawn and his species and his relationship with Palpatine, but it also introduces the concept of, what's going on in wild space, what's going on in the unknown regions. And I think that is, at the end of the day, very important. It also gives you the origin of Arinda Price and how she fits into things. So that book, absolutely, I would give a crucial piece, even though I wasn't a fan. Thrawn Treason, thankfully, is not a crucial piece of the puzzle. Thrawn Treason is extra pieces. It is pure extra pieces. Extra pieces books are just for Star Wars junkies like myself, and like I'm sure a lot of you are, who you love Star Wars so much, you want to read more books, even though it's not going to matter in canon. Like Heir to the Jedi does not matter in canon. whatsoever. You can skip it and not feel like you've missed out on anything crucial, but it's just more time you get to spend with Luke Skywalker. That's, at the end of the day, I think that's the only reason that anybody would want to read Heir to the Jedi at this point, is more time to spend with Luke. Because we all love Luke. I think Luke's a pretty cool dude. I like him a lot. I used to think Thrawn was a pretty cool dude. I'm going to, just stick with Rebels seasons 3 and 4 and try to keep that in mind so I can continue thinking he's a really cool dude, because he is a great looking character. He is a great concept for a character. He has just been in some books that I think would be better suited to be used as toilet paper at this point. So that's my impressions. That's my high ground for Thrawn Treason. Please, for the love of God, unless you are a hardcore Thrawn junkie and you love all of this stuff, then you know what? Go for it, pal. If you love perfect Blue Admiral man who's never wrong and always in the same calm demeanor and has no emotion and just talks about math with his officers after a long parlay of salutes and jargon, if that's for you, then you know what? I ain't going to judge you. Go ahead and Thrawn away, my friends. But if you are, looking for substantial Star Wars stories that have a meaning, don't waste your money. Spend it on a meal. Spend it on something for your kids. That meal will carry a much longer sense of satisfaction than this. But that's high ground. I'm Andrew Fantasia. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Until next time, may the force of others be with you.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.